I think people just need to be told, right? Because that's what I'm trying to do. I was talking with my client today. His name is John about this. I was saying, because he was asking about the whole school thing as well, and I was telling him my intention is to do this, but do this with the exercise science stuff. Do this with the diet stuff. Do this with anything that pertains to people getting results, but not from how you do a leg extension is fasten your seat down and use this belt for maximal stability. But fuck that. There's a million people who want to do that. They can talk like that, do their thing. I want to talk about the person. I want to talk about the intention. I want to talk about what we talk about in terms of like what we see, being veterans in the gym, being people who've done it. You know what I mean? So that's why I was saying, and I'm sorry if it was confusing. That's why I was saying that I think a cool topic would be like 2 to 3 things we each think about that either again we consistently see that are done wrong or misunderstood, right? And you can talk about like whether or not it's something that is maybe just misunderstood in a good way, like you were saying, like overrated, underrated way. People do, like, I don't know, it's a stupid example. People do many different exercises, like lunges, wrong, but not because of execution, but because of misunderstanding. Right? Then they miss out on things.
Yeah, so, or like, they think they're doing it for one thing, but the way they're executing is actually not for that thing. But it doesn't mean that it's a wrong lunge, but it just means that you're not getting what you actually want out of that.
Yeah. So it's like you're looking through a telescope on your sailing ship, and you're like, oh, a land, and it's actually you're just looking at the land you just sailed from, but you're not looking. You know what I mean? It's like you see it, but you're not actually looking the right direction.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, did you guys have some, Alex? Starts off.
Oh, mine is like completely post gym, and this is what I was talking about: overrated, underrated. And I know I always go back to kind of like the person and what's going to get the person to keep showing up, and right, because we do things wrong, and you're never going to have the perfect workout, and you're never going to have the perfect form. I know we can all talk about the form, and we know what to do, but it's just you're never going to be perfect. So my thing is, if I could just get people to realize that the post-workout euphoria, or just like feeling that you get, whether it was I have so many awful days in the gym. Like I get there and it's just absolute shit. But at the end of it, I'm still in a different state, not just patting myself on the back, but you feel just different. Like you accomplished something, you still went through and you did something. You might have just been like, all right, I'm walking on the treadmill the whole time because I'm just not getting anything done. But you got something done. And what you don't realize is that internally you are happier for yourself because you've done that. And it just sets off something in there. You might not even realize it, but I challenge anyone to go to the gym, actually go to the gym and not be in a better mood afterwards. Just knowing that you did something.
So you're kind of what you're kind of saying, I guess, is like, so like you might walk in there with a certain expectation, and then maybe on the day you're not exactly meeting the expectation, but anything is better than nothing.
Correct. Yeah. And then the feeling you get at the end of it, because at least you did something. You just feel it. You feel a little bit better. You feel like at least, okay, yes, I got here. Because again, I could fail a lift, I could do bad, but at least I know I went in there and tried, and you felt better. You physically feel better too, not just like this mental, like, oh, hey, good job, Alex, way to get in there and rah, rah. It's gonna pay off in one way or another. So that's what I feel like is just so underrated for people who are just like, oh, can't find the time, I'm always so tired. I was like, well, you'll probably feel less tired after the gym. Like, you will just feel better.
Like, I'm not even sure like the level of, or the size of the can of worms you just cracked, if you even know how big. Because like, no, seriously, like this is something that I've seen as like a trainer for like, better part of like 2 decades now, is that like when you have clients that don't regularly entertain gratitude, and I don't mean like I'm grateful for my roof over my head and for my food. I mean like being
I went in and did 3 sets if I love myself.
No, I mean like being able to like regularly be like, the typical or the truthful way of gratitude, which is actually just showing up happy and being like, yeah, I am happy because my legs work and they've shown up for me, so I'm going to be fucking so excited I can do this leg workout, right? Because there's a version of me that has no legs maybe, and then that person would die to do a lunge, right? what I was going to say to add on to what you said is like people who lack in this ability, they not only don't get results in the gym long term, right? To be able to be grateful in the gym, but they also just like, it's almost like they lack staying power, right? Because they're not understanding that it's like, it's more than just the I moved up my dumbbell curl by 5 pounds every single week, a million times. Because yeah, you can do that every single week, right? You're going to increase 5 pounds. That means you're lifting what, 1,000,000 pounds, and how many weeks is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's not the answer. But what they lack is like that ability to be just the moment, right? And understand that like there's other things that this is increasing. And this is really what I saw as a trainer, is that like these people would leave the gym, not be grateful, and then they'd quit, for example, and then they fall apart. They fall apart.
Yeah.
Like literally, clients like really do fall apart. And it's like, what? How are you falling apart? Like, I thought that the gym wasn't doing anything for you. I thought you always sucked. I thought you were always in pain. Apparently now you're in worse pain, and you have gained tons of body fat, and you're broken.
Yeah,
But I thought that was already you. You know what
yeah.
I mean? So how could it have already been you? And then now it's worse. How does that make sense? So it's like the only way you can actually appreciate is by being like grateful and be able to say like, yeah, I feel better from doing this. This is doing something that's very visible and like objective in my life, right?
Mhm.
So like the question is
like
how to do that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like that itself, like just that mindset is something that has to be trained in a lot of people too. Like there were times a few years ago where it's like, if I went in there and I had a workout that didn't meet my expectations, like I let it ruin my whole day. I was pissed off all day. And now I've gotten to the point where it's just like, well, you know what? I'm not having like the best of times. Things aren't really feeling the best, but like, like whatever. There will be better days ahead. And like, even just that progression of doesn't mean that I had a better workout than I would have had a couple years ago, but now it's not ruining my day anymore.
Yeah.
Or do you think it's a sport specific thing? Because I know you're more into powerlifting when you had those hard times.
Yeah, that's something that I guess I've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like the shift in mindset.
I think that's definitely somewhat sport specific too, because I found that I had more bad days when I did like weightlifting.
Like when you're going in there and you're like, okay, I got to hit these like triples at 87%.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not moving like you want them to.
Today, and like it slowed down and it wasn't supposed to.
No, but it's true.
Yeah,
maybe the changes that I went over to bodybuilding.
Yeah. No, but it's also maybe like, this is why it's so fascinating to talk about, because maybe it's not the bodybuilding, maybe it's just like the feeling that you get from bodybuilding. Yeah. Right? Because you could still do the same thing in bodybuilding. You can be like, well, I leg pressed 9 reps with 650 pounds last week, so I better hit 10. But like sometimes you don't. And I've been there with you specifically, and I've seen you miss reps and you don't get upset. Right?
Yeah.
And like that does happen in power or bodybuilding training, and it doesn't seem to matter because it's almost like you can find another way to win. So I think it's both, right? I think the answer is both. I just find that it's way more prominent in like the powerlifting and weightlifting sport, and I can attest to that for sure. Because like there were so many times that I had bad days doing weightlifting, not because I didn't like the sport, I loved it, but it's just like you go in there and you're actually like, I'm supposed to hit this snatch at like 200 today, and I have to hit it, and you pick up 150, and you're like, what?
No way.
That's not happening. And then
you just deadlift it.
Yeah, you're just like, this
not
whole,
going
the whole
anywhere.
day is gone. And so the funny thing is, like, the Alex and me would say, like, you're here, have a good time, just do your thing. But like your whole worth in the sport has literally been tied to progression.
To weight, to the
you know what I mean? And that's
I guess to that point, maybe it is that bodybuilding's a little easier to give yourself that grace, because you can go in and you're not going to progress as perfectly each day and whatnot. And so as very much as I am in real life of like, no, not everyone gets a trophy. You do have to excel to be better than somebody else and all of that. This is one spot where like I am totally handing out participation awards for somebody who just goes in the gym and tries to work hard. You might not hit your numbers, but you went and you worked hard. Like, you did something. Like, this is full on, like, pat yourself on the back for participating.
I think that's what bodybuilding does. It lends itself well to that mindset of I can find a way to win. Whereas if your mindset is only literally on this number for this percentage of reps, or yeah, right, then you're like, I failed. But in bodybuilding, and Corinne talked about this before, but how like one of the things I credit myself for in regards to my whatever success over the years with doing this, just the gym thing, especially just general hypertrophy training, is I've always found another way to make it better. That's something I do in bodybuilding that I can't do in other sports, which is like if I let's say I have in my Bulgarian split squats, whatever, I'm supposed to do sets of 8 to 10, and I pick it up, I'm like, I can't make that. Then I'll do another set, whatever. It doesn't have to make sense sometimes. I'm just gonna do something to be like, see, I did more today. I put it there.
Yeah, or it's like, hey, I was more intentional with the movement this week. I got just a little bit more range of motion, or like I felt like I was more in control of it at the bottom range, whereas usually, you know, I would kind of let it go a little bit and then just push through. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good underrated, overrated. It's definitely underrated, man, to be able to celebrate how you feel from the gym. 100%. I think we went a little off rails there, but that's definitely underrated. Man. Mention that because I think so many people are so concerned with what the gym can give them and not what it but not kind of what it lends them outside rather than the aesthetics, right? And the strength and stuff. Yeah. What was yours, Corinne? Did you come up with anything for today?
I guess just like the more is better mentality. Like more sets, more reps, more exercises. Like I need to go in on this leg day and do 10 exercises. And that's kind of something that I used to do pretty early on. And now I'm like more than 5 leg exercises. I'm cooked.
That's total leg exercises. It's probably not just quads. That's just leg exercises. You're like, no, I mean quads.
No, I mean leg exercises, and I mean leg exercises, and like maybe it's just gonna be like one quad isolation, one hamstring isolation, one hinge, one type of like squat or lunge.
You know why that is though, right? There's an actual physiological reason for that too. It's fast twitch development. The further you get in your like development in the gym, you definitely grow more fast twitch fibers. And so because of that, and this is what a lot of people don't understand about training intensity. So it kind of goes both ways. You can kind of like,
oh boy, he froze.
Oh,
dang it.
This again.
We're not just gonna stand and smile now.
Damn it.
You jerk.
I know. Corinne was like this, and I was like, did I lose her? When did I lose you?
When you said you'd grow more fast twitch muscle fibers, and then that was
so like if you're growing fast twitch fibers, they fatigue quicker, right? And so because of that, if you have a higher amount of recruitment, not only do they fatigue quicker, but you're doing more damage, and damage is going to be like intramuscular, and it's also going to be the deposits of like what are they called? Not mitochondria, what do they call it? Metabolites, and then you're going to be also getting more calcium ion fatigue. So like you're basically accumulating fatigue, and you're literally you're just freaking gassing them out. So you don't have that ability, but that's also mixed with intensity, meaning you have a higher recruitment, so you can do more. And that's the thing that people don't understand, which is why if you look at the people who are just beginners, what do? They go to the gym, and it's almost like Simba and Mufasa, where he's like, look, that all of this can be yours. And he points to all of the machines in leg day, and a beginner will go do them all. Yeah. And be like, I crushed it. I'm like, yeah, no wonder you did it all, because you activated like one strand of tissue to do everything. And it's a slow twitch fiber that's basically supposed to run a marathon.
Yeah.
Right. So like you can't do anything. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But this is also why it's kind of annoying. That's why I was saying we kind of have to take our hands back after we pat them, because when you look at a lot of bros, a lot of meatheads be like, I can work out so intense. It's like, can't. It's not a choice. It's not like you have this ability. It's just because you literally have more development. Yeah. So when you have more development, you can literally work harder. It's like a V8 engine or something like that, talking about how it can be faster than a 4-cylinder. It's like, no, this is a byproduct. It's what happens. Like you add horsepower. So fast twitch development's kind of like that, right? But what was the thing? I lost I forgot what you were saying. What was your point though? I was going to add to that.
Mine, just that more, like the philosophy that more is better.
Like always better.
Always.
Yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree.
Or even just like, and this is something that I used to bring up a lot before, is like, I'm not even sweating that much. And it's this idea that like the more you sweat, like the better of a workout it is that you're having.
Yeah.
I can't tell you why it's not true, but I just know that it's not.
Yeah, so it seems like we're going the underrated, overrated way. Okay, so I'll kind of change my approach, and I'll kind of like or change
No,
my
we'll flip
my
it
wording.
back. We'll do both of them. Do
No,
the
'cause it works. It works the same way. I was gonna
Yeah.
say like underrated, overrated, and that would be like specificity, right? Because I was gonna also say people do it wrong, like they don't understand what specific means. Because what bodybuilding culture thinks specific means is like leg press targets the outer quad, and then the hack squat will target the inner quad, and I'm like, no, that doesn't do that. Like, it's not how it works. And I'm not going to get into that in this podcast because that's kind of what I kind of want to get away from. But like, that's not how it works. And then when you understand that, you just kind of learn that specificity means, first and foremost, what are you trying to actually do here? And I don't mean grow your quads. I mean, what is your goal overall as a human in this gym space? Is your goal weight loss or hypertrophy? Because like, what the hell are you? Yeah, like, what are you doing 5 reps for on a hack squat if you're trying to drop body weight?
Yeah.
Like, actually, right? And this might hit people, myself, Corinne included, because I've done it. Doesn't mean you can't, but it means that you have to realize that you're being specific and you're trying to now muddle your goals together a little bit, and we all do it. But that's the catch, because truthfully, like the person who goes straight and directional towards the goal will get there faster, right? The person who makes pit stops gets there slower, right?
Yeah, I had this hit that wall, and I think we've talked about it before on one of our calls, but I had that when I said, okay, these right now during a building phase, when I have more calories and it's just try and get more intense and get more, weight up, not more reps up necessarily, Corinne, but more weight up. I still have like trying to get 40 minutes on the treadmill after the workout. And so I was rushing through sets and not being as intense because I'm like, oh, I got to get my cardio in. I got to get my cardio in. And then I flipped the switch maybe a month, 6 weeks ago, be like, no, the point of this part of my program is to hit weights hard. And yeah, if I can only do 20 minutes directly on the treadmill that day, like, yeah, try and get some more steps in elsewhere. But the point is the lifting right now. Whereas if I go into when I go into my next cut phase, the point will be, yeah, still stimulate and lift heavy as you can, but the cardio becomes a lot more important, and the calories obviously with that too. So it's like, intention played a huge role in changing the mindset of like, no, sit in this set and do it properly. Don't worry about this extra 5 minutes it's going to take you that you're not going to get on the treadmill.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, it's misunderstood. Specificity is misunderstood and it's done wrong, right? So people, and so therefore it's underrated, right? But it's really just that. Like, people will go into it and they'll think specific means like, what's my bro split? What's my split? And then eat enough protein. And like, we might be talking a little bit like majoring the minors here, but like, I don't know, I think it's a little more than that, but that will probably get you 50% there. And it'll get you through your newbie gains for sure, right? But like, there's actual, I'm not lying. There's like legitimate people out there who literally think nutritional advice for protein ends at make sure your farts stink. That's literally their, like, the end.
That's the criteria.
That's it. And then okay, so we can get more specific than that. We can dig deep here, bro. But when it comes to like intention, understanding that like, it really does make you kind of like think about things a little deeper. Because when you have an intention, you kind of have to humble yourself a little bit and realize where you're going off rails, and then ask yourself the truth is like, are you being accountable to your goal? But then also, it makes you start looking at things like Corinne almost said before, but with a different lens, where like, if you go into a Bulgarian split squat, I can experience more range. Because what's the point of the split squat? If everybody looks at exercises under the filter of just muscle centric, and I mean a very, very literal way, meaning like Bulgarian split squats are quads, leg extensions, quads, lunges, quads, leg press, quads, pendulum squat, quads. And you keep on going through it. It's like, huh? It's all just quads?
Yeah.
Like,
It's weird because I don't even see it that way anymore.
I know, but that's how people are, right? And same thing,
Yeah.
like they'll look at like an incline press, chest, decline press, chest. All these things are, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that's just like a thing, right? That's just one of the things it does, right? There's other things that we can utilize for joint action and for positions and your own morphology and like the limitations you may be dealing with, right? Like, I have a client who's dealing with some pretty severe hip stuff. You might have to get some hip replacements. And the criteria of which we have to kind of avoid right now is like deep hip flexion and internal rotation. Like he just really can't go there because he has no hip left. It's like bone on bone. And so I was talking to him about how it just doesn't mean he can't grow those muscles. Like he might obviously lack in development compared to like a bodybuilder, but for a person who's trying to get through his life being jacked and being happy, it's like, what were you doing that you can't do anymore? Well, deep squats. Okay, so let's look at the squat. What are we talking about? We're talking about like again, glutes, quads, hamstrings, adductors, right? Calves a little bit, thoracic spine, bracing, core, obliques. And you go through those. Okay, so guess what? There's exercises for those. We can do all those. We can just crank away at them, right? So that'd be a specific plan for him. But then specific somebody else would be like, what are you doing? What are you screwing up? And some people are like, well, I'm doing squats for my quads. So I'm like, yeah, but your squat is femur centric, which means that you're basically doing good morning. That's not specific for your body, right? What do you need to do for your development? Yeah, leg extensions, pendulum squats, go forever, right? Or for somebody else, like we said before, like the whole dieting thing, it's like, what's your goal? What is your goal literally to do? Because if your goal is to actually like grow muscle, and I've seen a lot of hard gainers, and I'm going to cut myself off here for a second, and then I should say, this is only a guy thing. For some reason, women don't do this. I don't know why. Well, I do know. It's because guys are babies. But the thing is, like, women just don't do this. Guys will run themselves in circles. They're hard gainers. You put them in a growth phase, and then they bitch out, and then they say, I can't do this because I'm getting fat. And then they pull themselves back into a diet. And I'm like, you were growing. And not just in terms of like size, because yeah, if you're putting on fat, you're putting on fat. But your lifts were going up. We were documenting it. You were getting better. And then they cut themselves because they put a pound of fat on. So it's like, what's the goal? I thought the goal was to get muscle. Okay, so then if that's the goal, then you're accountable to do the things necessary for that goal. So again, specificity. What's the intention here? How else do you go about it, right? So totally underrated in my mind. What are your thoughts? You see that?
Yeah, I think just with it from a specificity standpoint, people get too dialed into the specificity of just like, it's going to sound so stupid, but the specificity of an exercise. Like I need to do, you're right, like a leg extension because I want a badass teardrop. But is your goal to grow or lose weight? Like what I think specificity of a goal is more what people are skipping out on, and whether you call it underrated or they're misinformed or they do it wrong, right? What do they do wrong in the gym? Well, you go in there and like, oh, today I went really hard and I ate a lot, so it was a growth day. But tomorrow I need to hit 90 minutes of cardio because I don't want to gain any weight. Like the fact that these things take more than a day is something that people do wrong for sure.
Yeah, and that's huge, man. That's another huge point. Sorry, Krim, we're talking over you, but like that's a huge point because I think that people don't understand that. They don't understand that this is a process to buy into. And if you're coaching or if you're observing the human, that's the thing you're managing. You're not just managing the outcomes today. Because if I go do 5 hours of cardio today, what's probably going to happen, I'm going to burn fat for the first hour, maybe a little longer. Then my body's going to figure a way to slow things down, right? It's going to bring other systems down and drop my heart rate. And if I keep on going too far, it's probably going to start dropping my muscle mass. Won't be a lot in 5 hours, but it will. It'll drop a little bit, right? Or it'll burn through all my glucose, and then tomorrow I'll drop muscle. Or I'll be weaker, right? And that's another thing people do. It's like, so it's always about the cause and effect and how that plays out. Because if that person does too much cardio because they're afraid of gaining weight when they're in a building phase. So again, it really comes down to like, what are you doing? What's your goal? What's your specific intent with everything you're doing in the phase of training? Then they do the cardio, and then tomorrow they don't realize that, but they just burn through all their glycogen stores and they burn through all their excess energy. Their body's now in a deficit, and so their body's in deficit. It's down-regulating systems, and they go into their workout. They think their body's going to perform. It's not. And you can always understand this if you look at one simple thing, which is recovery. Recovery just being simply defined as, can you meet or exceed your previous training bout from the same training block? So if bench day on Monday, bench day next Monday, can you meet or exceed last week's numbers? If you can't, you're not recovered, right? Okay, so guess what? You did a shit ton of cardio yesterday. You can't make your numbers. Guess what? You're not growing today. That's how you have to look at it. I'm not going to say I know that for sure, but I can definitely say that's how I would look at it. Because if it wasn't going like that, they kept on trending down, and in a year where you're benching half the weight you were a year ago, would you be making progress?
Sure wouldn't.
Fuck that. Huh?
You might be shredded.
Yeah, you might be shredded. You might be completely diced because the muscle left.
Yeah.
So that's the catch. I've seen a lot of coaches do that. Oh, it drives me bonkers, man. I've worked with people who their coaches have dropped their numbers significantly. And they've been able to deadlift like almost threes. And then they go through like a coach's cut where they're doing this kind of stuff, and they can't deadlift in the twos. They can't even hit the twos. Dropped 100 pounds on their lifts, and they think it's normal. It's like, what the hell's going on? Again, specific intent, right?
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy. Corinne, you're up again. Oh, no, Alex, I think you're up again for your second one.
Oh, I had to have two now. I
said
did
two.
an underrated
Yeah.
and the participation trophy, and underrated just getting there and being awesome. I don't know. So I don't want to get science versus bros and whatnot, but I do see too many people in there working hard. Like they're either sweating or doing whatever. And it's a little bit of intention as well, but they are just like the whole range of motion thing. I have definitely come around on the last couple of years, right? Like you're not getting all the gains you can if you're doing heavy ass cheat reps.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for an ego lift if you get the whole lift going. Like if you do the whole lift and like almost die because you're ego lifting, but don't give me a quarter rep ego lift and say you got it, right? Like the people who are in the gym and the guy goes behind him, he's got his headphones on and he's like, one, because the guy is just doing like barely shoulder presses and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, the hard worker, no range, and just basically too much. I mean, it comes down to though you can't handle the weight, right? Because if you can't do it for the full range, yeah, you're going to be weaker in different points of the range. But if you can't do a full rep, you can't do that weight. So I think that I still see it like daily, and as like intense as this information is online, like I don't understand how anybody could still do it without just being informed and not realizing that themselves. Like the information age just floods you with, hey, that's not a good enough rep, that's not a good enough rep, or whatever, right? Like I get the whole battle between like, hey, yeah, go lift heavy versus no, do it perfectly, right? Like I'm on the lift heavy side, but still do a full rep heavy. But yeah, I just think that so many people are in there and take that to the extreme where they're doing like a quarter of the muscle they're trying to work, a quarter of the range of motion, and not getting the results they want.
Yeah, Corinne, before I go, I'm going to let you talk because I'll rant on this one.
Well, I was just thinking of my next one.
I'm going to go and you want to add on mine. But I was going to say, and this might not be where you thought I was going to go with this, but people's physiques are directly correlated to the range of motion they have access to. 100% of the time. That's how it works. If a person lacks the requisite range of motion of a muscle, what does a muscle do? The muscle simply just moves joints. Yeah, it just contracts. That's all it does. It moves from insertion to origin. That's all it does, right? And it just moves joints. So if we lack the ability to move that joint, then like if we can't put our arm over head, it's not the ability to put your arm over your head. It's not being a ballerina. It's what muscles can start working when I do that. And then you compile a list. Just kind of same thing how we always say, like, close your damn knee if you're going to do quad motions. Why? Because you're not maximally stretching your VMO unless you do, right? And you're not actually, I would say, just maximally activating all your quads, because it has to do with literally just what the knee does. So it's just quad extension. So it's the opposite of quad extension. You're not stretching the muscle. So you're going to miss out on that development. And it's true. You always do. You always do see people's legs missing in development when they don't close the knee. It's a common thread. It's 100% the case. So then if you look at relating back to your question, with people doing things wrong, what my thoughts are is because it always feels uncomfortable to be in positions that you don't have strength in. Always.
Yeah, you feel weak. You feel like a bitch. Like
and it hurts a little bit too. You ever actually do you guys remember being like in like your first day of bench pressing and being forced down to like chest with the bar? And you're like, and you can't do it. Remember that? Yeah. My brother came over with me a long time ago. This is like freaking aeons ago. And I was bringing the bar down and I was like this, and he pushed it down and my shoulders crunched. This was when I was really young. And he was like, oh, sorry. And he pulled it back off of me because I was going down, but I couldn't go all the way. Yeah. Because I was probably doing it like this, right? Yeah. I didn't understand how to move. It was like my literal first year before I even started lifting. I was at his place, just grabbing the bar. And like, that's what they're doing. So then like, I think that's 9 times out of 10 what you're seeing. Now for the other guys, these are like the naughty ones, like the blacklisters. These guys know they could go deeper, but it is just an ego thing, because they are tied to the significance of what in their head they think they get from this. you know, typical guy, typical avatar of a person right now that every single person listening can think of. Ego maxer on the leg press. That's it. For some reason, he thinks Kool-Aid Man is breaking through the wall and giving him a leg press trophy right after.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Nobody's giving you a trophy. It's not like you're like with 13,000 pounds, and then the guy's like, yeah, here it is. You're the best.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. But the problem is that's the only way they quantify success. Like, at least I have this. And then you got some dickhead like us coming over to them and saying, hey, man, like, drop the weight by like 13,000 pounds. We do the sled, right? And like, they can't, because they can't come down.
Yeah, but underrated. And again, very personal experience. I don't know the guy's name. He's awesome. He's one of those intense. He works out hard in the gym, but you can tell by his physique that he's just not getting all the range of motion, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And especially legs. And he was always doing like literally just kind of like jump leg squat, like barely any depth on it.
Yeah.
And trying to go heavy, whatever. But then a week ago, I saw him with like 4 less plates on the leg press, closing his knee gap. And I wanted to, I mean, I didn't tell him to do anything, but I also wanted to go over there and be like, dude, I'm really happy that I see you giving up, like, you know, giving up your ego just to get everything going. He's like, I can tell it sucks. And you're spending time in the very bottom of the range and it's really hard to get up. But like, again, participation trophy, you're learning. Awesome. Really, really happy for you, guy.
But that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And you have to really humble yourself, man. It's not easy, especially as a guy. I'm not sure how girls deal with that. I think this is probably one of the things where girls get off easy, right? Because maybe, I don't know. Will do they?
If the weight goes down, well, yeah, you were a power lifter too, though.
Yeah.
I guess.
But I'm not asking Corinne, because I know Corinne would be like, I think though, I know you would suffer through it. You wouldn't care. But I know that like you have a different mindset than girls. But do girls care? Like, if you had to tell a girl, like, take the weight off the leg press, go all the way, would they get upset about that?
I don't know. They probably wouldn't get as upset.
Yeah. If you
Feel
told a
like they'd be
dude
more
like, hey,
But
yeah, I think so,
again,
because you're right. I mean, the weight going down in weight isn't the ego hit that it is to a bro. It seems like, I mean, we're just stupid like that, right? Like,
Isn't it dumb? Like, the guys who have the big ego, they all have the small legs too. It's like, it's so weird.
yeah, so true.
It's so weird. Like, I had this guy at the leg press a couple weeks ago. I was at the DF gym here, and I was doing mine, and I was only doing 6 plates aside. Like, that's it, just 6.
oh,
But I was bringing it down.
never did.
And like, no, for like, I remember like when I was younger, I did shit reps, and I was doing like 10 to 12 plates aside for like shit reps, right? And I'm saying that, and I'm gonna say again, shit reps. I'm talking about like they were probably 4 inches range.
Yeah.
I thought it was badass too, right? And then I learned how to train, and I realized no, that's bitch training. And then I brought it down. I had to build myself up, and like when you get in, you almost now seek it out. Like Corinne, whenever I go to a gym with her, she's almost like seeking the leg press that has the most knee flexion.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. She tries to find it out. She's like, "Where is it? Where is it?" And like, you're addicted to the Arsenal one right now,
Yeah.
right? The only problem with the
favorite.
Arsenal one is you can't grip into it. I find if they'd had better placement for the hands, like where you put your hands,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to it too. Have you used one?
Yeah.
You've used the Rogue one, haven't you? Alex?
Yeah.
The Rogue one's the same thing as the Arsenal one. You can just get deep as shit in it, like so deep, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like once you start doing that, you start getting addicted to it, because that's where you know results come, and you just have to let that go. So you stop being a figurative weightlifter. I don't mean Olympic, but like just you're not here to lift weights. You're here to actually take your muscle through its path, and that's probably the single most important information that anybody can ever give anybody ever about
Take
growing
muscle through the path.
Yeah, that's it. that's it. There's nothing else. Podcast done. We're done, guys.
That's a good point.
Right? Because it's really that. And everything else we do is basically like trying to help people get there, or trying to help people maximize on after they've done that.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's when nutrition and recovery and programming and understanding that kind of stuff comes. Or again, understanding how to get the requisite range of motion, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I'm personal example of like the hip stuff that I have, the SI stuff that I run into. Like the point is to then back off and be able to get through the whole range of motion again, versus just like, this is terrible, I don't want to touch it. Like,
yeah,
it becomes back to just like, oh, the point of this is to get all the way down, get the full hip, all of it, and yeah. So
Alex,
yeah,
with the SI stuff, do you find that it sneaks up really fast. And
Yeah,
like
I mean,
things feel great, right? All your workouts for weeks, like things are moving great, you feel good in all your exercises, and then that happens after somewhat of a fluke. Maybe you didn't even feel anything actually happen while you were working out, but the next day you were like, oh shit, like that was me.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like as of that moment, now I'm like, oh, I have all of these like massive dysfunctions
Yeah, like everything else
that
hurt.
I had no idea. Like,
Aneurysm.
I mean, I definitely start noticing yes, it is always just like a random thing. And it's never that I've tried a weight that I shouldn't have tried. It's just now it's just it'll like, yeah, of course, like I'll be like, yeah, it's because I think back and be like, oh, I definitely didn't brace. I just kind of went right after it. It's a weight I could always do and that I've always done for, like for reps during sets, like 3 sets of whatever. It's just that one time that I bent over to do it and then didn't brace properly, and then it's done, and it takes me like a week or two. But yeah, then as I'm like trying to walk through my SI, it's just like, oh, my knee's tightening up. It's because I'm overcompensating by like like all of it, right?
Yeah. If it makes you feel better, man, when I had my pop a couple weeks ago, that happened and I was like, I braced. I even watched the footage back and I even saw myself brace. And then I was like, I started second guess myself. Did I do something wrong? What happened? Where did I go wrong? Right. And then so like a couple days later, I'm like being me, I'm like, fuck is a pop, right? So I'm like, put 400 on there, let's stiff leg it. And they were the great pain-free reps. Like, and I was awesome. They were great. And then 5th rep, punk, popped again. I was like, yeah. And nothing changed. So it's like sometimes it is just like load supersedes structural tolerance for whatever reason. And I know I think I know the reason now. It's just I had not gone that weight in a little while, even though I was obviously strong enough to move it, but my tissue just like, So that makes me think as the person trying to find the answers, like, what's the length of time for, I'm not sure if the word would be atrophy, for like soft tissue.
Yeah.
Right? It's not the muscle. The muscle's obviously there because I could connect with it. And at least I had the recruitment. But like, what's going on with soft tissue, the connective tissue that would need that? Because ever since I got back into those lifts, everything's
it's like the whole, like, dudes and girls on gear have all the ligament and soft tissue issues because, like, what is that scientific time frame for, like, you got all this hypertrophy, that's great, that's what you're going for. Guess what? Your soft tissue needs to catch up.
Dude, but I'm not even sure if it ever does, because my older brother had ruptured both of his patella tendons, right? Both of them. And that was like years after he'd done anything. So it's like, I don't know if it ever does. I've known a lot of people. I have a client right now that I work with that he had a problem as well. And like, dude, it happens. I don't know. I would love to learn more about that. So yeah, it's interesting though. It's super freaking fascinating. Crane, what was your second one? That was your underrated or overrated as well?
That was my you're doing it wrong. I did underrated, and then I said you're doing it wrong. Range of motion.
Doing it wrong.
Because I switched back to your original task of like, no, Alex, it's not.
You're jumping halfway. You're a rebel.
I think mine would be like, I don't really know how to phrase it. When people seem to think that there's only one way to do something, like an exercise, or when people generally just write off certain exercises as bad. And I think of like the first thing that I think of is like the Athlete Next channel, right? Because like he does so many videos about like, don't do this exercise, like the upright row is really bad for you. Or like there's even one time when this was last summer, I was doing just like a preacher curl over the bench with my arm just like fully vertical. And there's like a guy that came up to me and he's like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like I've seen so many people tear their biceps doing that. And he's like, I'm a coach, like I know. And I'm just like, no, like you don't.
No, I'm gonna be okay here.
Yeah, there just seems to be like a lot of different exercises that people just write off as bad.
What are the
even
biggest
though
ones?
They might not be. Huh?
What are the biggest ones you see?
Well, the one that I hear the most about is like the upright row. Like people will say that, oh yeah, you're gonna get some shoulder impingement. And it's like, yeah, you might if you don't have the range, but you could say that about any exercise for anybody who can't access the range. It's going to be a bad exercise for them. but
Yeah.
don't like take one exercise and blanket state
Yeah.
that it's good or bad.
Yeah. I feel like I have a mixed opinion on this because there seems to be two communities bashing heads, which is like they have the one community, and I'm going to call them like the primal community, which is they're like human body's made to move. It can do anything under load, and just do it. And as long as you do it, you get adapted to it. And I'm like, yeah, but muscles move joints, and based on the tension of the joint, certain muscles are going to get like more tension, right? And then so if you're loading something wrong, being like that's not how it should be, then you're never going to prioritize the muscle that should be developing in it. Classic example: if you deadlift in severe, I'm not going to say a little bit. I'm going to say severe for the case so somebody doesn't rip me into. If you deadlift in severe spinal flexion, right, then your glutes will not get the chance to go through their full range of motion. So if not, you're not going to develop a butt. And then guess what the main move for the deadlift should be? Glutes. Not only the fact that like it's kind of an important muscle to get really big, right? And then if you're missing out on that, then yeah, your body's supposed to move and develop and stuff like that. But it's like, yeah, but like that's what the muscle is supposed to do in this motion. You're not letting it do it. So like, yeah, you can develop the spine erectors and maybe they'll become more resilient, but you're never gonna move that needle as far up. So the scaling of the exercise goes down. So in regards to doing things like Iron Graveyard, that what I see that most often is with people, and I'm going to credit Jordan Shallow podcast right now, the RXD radio podcast. So anyone who's listening, go listen to them. This is freaking awesome. But they were talking about like boomers, and I love this because it's so true. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this guy on Facebook. I know, Alex, you're not on Facebook, right?
Mm-mm.
But there's this one guy, and like I almost want to comment, but I'm like, I will not boost this man's algorithm because he needs to die out of it. I mean, not him die, but like him in this field needs to die out of it, right?
Yeah.
Because he's literally going around. His quads are about the size of a pencil, and he's an old guy. He's a boomer. And he's going to all the exercises. Like just basically everything is saying, don't do it, it's bad for you. Avoid it like the plague. And he was on the leg extension, saying the leg extension is bad. And like everybody is in the comment section being like, what the hell are you talking about?
He's just rage baiting. He's winning.
But he's not rage baiting. He's legitimate. Seriously. And he's a boomer. And that's what they're, so that's what Jordan was talking about in his recent podcast, was like basically about how like you have this whole field that has no understanding of things, just learning things because they came from a very different way of thinking back then, right? A very different way.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of like, oh, your knees shouldn't go over your toes.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
same
And then they're attracting crowds because they're an accredited, I don't know, chiro, right? I have a chiro as a client, and thankfully he's really taken to coaching. And this is not me patting myself on the back, but since he's been understanding how to move through things lately, he's making massive progress. But he fought me for a long time. I remember the first thing I told him to do is like in a hack squat, I said, you need to flatten your lower back to the pad. I didn't say round. I don't want you to contort yourself into this whole convex curve and stuff. I just want to.
Uh-oh. Got him.
Are you there?
Bam, who shot you? Yeah. So we got you didn't ask him to like round his back.
Yeah, I didn't ask him to round his back or get into a problem. I just wanted him to make sure that he was flat so he could stabilize and not be in a massive anterior pelvic tilt. And he told me, no, my spine is in its natural place and that's where it should be. I'm like, how's that working out for you? And then the next day he tore his hamstring.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he sent me a picture of it, and it was because he was deadlifting like that too. And I'm like, guess where your hamstring is? You're in a anatomical way, you're lengthening it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're cranking up on it, right?
Yep.
Quads are shortened, hamstring lengthened. So then the next day he literally tore his hamstring. I'm like, this stuff isn't make believe, man. I told him not to, and he didn't listen to me. And then he should the back of his leg was all purple. Tons of internal bleeding, tore it right in half. It's insane. Oof. So, anyways, like he listened. Past that, he started listening. and now he's making progress. It's been slow, but he's making progress. And so, like, to credit what Corinne is saying, I was like, yeah, people thinking that there's a certain way to do things or to avoid things because like they're just like whatever bad or knees over toes. It can be really, really hard. But one more layer onto it, what I find is that people who are more dogmatic, not sure what the reason would be, if it's just because they're a bodybuilder, and I've heard that too, like this is bodybuilding form, not powerlifting form, or if it's just how they've been taught, maybe because of their previous training experience. But people will say like fundamentally, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, based on what? What's your goal? What are you talking about? Right? Because like, what's the criteria? What are we using to judge this?
Yeah, that's funny though, because just offhand, I would probably be like, there is a different form for bodybuilding versus powerlifting. Powerlifting is get that shit up.
Yes. Get as
Like,
much
hey,
muscle
my
mass
calves
behind
did
that bar as
every
possible.
single ounce of that somehow, did every single ounce of that bench press. I used my calves the whole time. The weight went up.
Yeah.
But
They went
obviously, that's an extreme example. But
It
yeah,
did.
bodybuilding, it is different.
Yeah, and people try to isolate in bodybuilding, and so we'll save my opinion for that for another day, so I don't rant on it. But that is the biggest thing. It's like you're basically doing something to elicit a more isolated response versus something that's more muscle mass. And so people will say definitively, like, this is the wrong way, this is the right way, and it's like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong for that, because like there's no wrong way. Well, again, if you're putting your head in the leg extension, you're doing it wrong. But if you're doing the leg extension and you're squeezing at the top, versus somebody saying, don't squeeze the top, spend more time in the lengthened position, neither's wrong. What's your goal? Are you training this for VMO? Or are you training this for rec fem? Right? Like, well, what's your goal here? Do you even know the profile of your machine? Like, what are the considerations? Or like a lunge. Like, if everybody, we said in the beginning of the podcast, like if everybody goes into exercises, and maybe I can just segue this, since I'm ranting anyways, into mine, which was like just exercises being, those again? No, okay. Corinne, you were caught in a blink. He looks like he froze. Exercises being, she was like, I was like, did she freeze? Exercises being like misunderstood. Like, what's the goal here, right? And so if you look at certain exercises like a lunge, people will just do them because it's like, I don't know, glutes, or I don't know, quads, and then just do it. And so then their goal turns into just get the reps done because this exercise will do this for me. I'm like, the exercise won't do anything. Every single time I think of that, all I think is the meme where the guy's like, it's anything done wrong enough is a low back exercise.
Yeah.
That's all I can picture. It's like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
right? But it's true.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even, to be honest, I know that they will and they do. But as just like the guy looking at either some form of weighted walking lunges in my program, I was like, for me, the intention of these is to get the full range of motion and just realize that they're going to suck. Like, because like my heart rate's going to get jacked and like all this stuff. Like, it's just like, no, this is going to be, if anything, I'm going to get mentally tougher because I sit in these for a minute and walk up and down this aisle, getting this full range of motion, whether it grows my quads better than my glutes or my glutes better than my calves. Like, okay, great. Like, it'll grow something. And I just want to move through the whole thing and sit in the suck for a little while.
It just ties it back like a good freaking, circular kind of event here. Like, what'd you say? It can simply be, I'm not saying it is, but it can simply be just because it sucks. Okay, yeah. So what's the number one thing? I want to take a guess. Corinne, you know the answer, so don't say it. What's the number one thing that controls neural drive? Number one thing.
This is where I say me.
Pick me.
No, that's what I'm saying. I say me. Like, I'm the one.
Well, it is because you're the person doing it. But like, what's the number one thing that you have in your arsenal to increase neural drive?
I mean, the fact that I've done it before, I guess. I mean, like, so the consistency
you're getting hotter.
Hey, yeah.
You want to give him a hand? Can you call a friend?
Yeah, can I
say it?
Hold on. I'm going to phone a friend. Yeah, go for it.
There you go. Okay, so motivation. Okay, so the reason...
motivation versus drive. Motivation's out the window as soon as it's cold outside. Fuck out of here.
No, motivation in terms of like your motivation in the set to do it. I don't mean before the gym. I mean, it's like you're in the set. And so the reason why I'm saying this, because it proves what you just said is completely true. Meaning, like, if you've done a hard set and you've proven to yourself you're a badass, I've done this, I've done harder things than this, then now you're building that psychological resilience. And this is, again, it comes back to how the science-based people are full of shit. Like, which is kind of ironic because we're all kind of science-based people, but we're so not when you actually look at how it is now, because it's not how it is. They don't understand that. They will actually say definitively, this motion is better for you than this because of optimal, right? And then turn into nerds. It's like, what are you talking about? None of you have done a hard set ever, so you've never built that resilience in your mind. You have nothing to stand on. You're all a bunch of participation trophy kids. And so if you have a hard set, like, you ever done a set of 60 to 100 walking lunges with like 130 pounds in your back? Good luck. Have fun. Come back to me. And then tell me that your set of 6 leg extensions is really tough.
Yeah, it was tougher. Yeah.
Right? It's like, what are you talking about? And I'm not trying to say it's optimal. I'm trying to say that it does something to you. It just does something. This is a stupid analogy. I'm just going to use it. I remember watching the UFC fight with Conor McGregor. Who did he fight? Khabib was his name? Is that his name? When he lost.
The ones that they were always going back and forth and throwing things through the bus and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he lost to him, right? I was talking to my friend, his name's Justin. If he hears this, he'll laugh. And I asked him, I was like, who's gonna win? And he's like, oh, could be. I'm like, why? And he goes, oh, dude, like the guy, he grew up, like he had a hard life. And that's all he said. He didn't even talk about his moves, man. He was just like, he had a hard life. And I'm like,
Real hard life.
that's all it was. He was gonna die. Well, guess what you're doing in the ring? You're moving your joints. Want to take a guess at what does that? Your muscles, right? And it's not bodybuilding, but it's still moving your joints in space, which is primarily what we're doing here. We're trying to resist gravity with our muscles, and that's it. And so, yeah, he died. He lost the fight because the guy had a hard life. And it sounds like a silly analogy, but it does something here. So doing that kind of training, taking that to the next level, yeah, it becomes so useful. And having those kind of things in your program, again, misunderstood. I'm not going to go to the train of like whether or not it's underrated or overrated, because I think it's both. I think that if people do walking lunges for quad development, like directly, specifically, completely overrated. I used to love them because they feel amazing, kind of like Krim was saying, like, oh, I'm sweating, I'm burning. And then when I was on that train, I used to do that all the time because they do make you sweat. They do make you burn. Great. You're not going to grow your quads, right? Yeah. Because if you know that you can go into a hack squat and you can put 500 pounds on it, I'd like to see you lunge with the hack squat. Unless you can get that tension, it's not going to happen, right? But what it can do, and I'm gonna again credit this to Jordan, which is he said it really more eloquently than I can, which is that he said that it makes your bottleneck for hypertrophy the pelvis, right? Which then, since that's not your bottleneck, like you're basically focusing everything there, right? Which means that you're never gonna supersede your development in your quads at sacrificing pelvic stability. Which I loved that. Because basically it's meaning like your pelvis will be the strongest thing you have, which is what you want, so you don't hurt anything, right? Same thing. And so many people have the opposite. I have clients who are like that, who their quads are freaking smoke shows, right? And then they have like a weak ass core, weak ass pelvis, and then they hurt their back no matter what they do. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So how do we get out of that, right? So again, underrated if you do them for like quads. Overrated if you do them for quads. Underrated for if you do them with anything else, any other specific intent.
Yeah, I only see lunges as like pelvis function things.
Right.
That's literally all I think of when I have them in the program.
It's because you're an anointed one. It's true though. Once you get down this train, you start seeing things differently. It's like you'll know the analogy. Corinne is she loses points here, but Alex, like the Matrix, like when Neo sees the Matrix for what it is.
Yeah.
Corinne's like, damn, he's right. Don't get the reference. But it's true. It's like once you see it, you don't stop seeing it. You're like, I'll see you guys there. But you don't stop seeing it. You're like, that's all it is. And you just start seeing like, okay, so this is this, this is this. And you start quantifying things. And a soft note on that too, that I'll tell anybody who's listening, like what I find that's really kind of been handy, not only in my own training. So I don't like the word overtraining, but start leading like feeder volume in other areas that cannot be beneficial. Is getting better at your form means that you have a specific intent with the form, right? So a classic example would be like incline chest press being like that. So shoulder flexion opposed to shoulder adduction, right? And if you're doing that, then there's different musculature involved, right? Some people argue just pec. I'm going to argue otherwise. I'm going to say there's other things, right? But regardless, you're doing other things, right? Different motion. So if you know that and you have an intention, then you're probably going to have like a 10% governor on your weight at all times. Because when that 10% gets taken away, you can put 10% more weight on and fuck it up. See what I'm saying? And so it kind of makes training nicer. That's what I find. It doesn't mean you don't have to work hard. You can still work really ballsy hard. But it just means that you don't go to stupid territory where you hurt things. And for guys, the biggest thing I hear from men who don't like to train legs hard is that it hurts. Not just hurts in terms of like my quads burn and I don't like it. It's like not often that. If anything, that's actually where girls seem to drop off, which is really weird because they're always training legs. But the second I make a guy, more often than not, when I make a guy push hard, I've had some quitters, but more often than not, they push. Women will more often than not give up on me. But it's weird. It's like a 90-10 rule. Like 9% of guys will work harder than like the rest of the women, but like the 10% of women that work harder, they slaughter all the men. It's weird. It's like they turn into Steffi Cohen's. They just like destroy everyone. But it's like the lower percentage of them, right? Anyway, I was going to say is like that's what I find, but they get in pain, and I think the reason why they get in pain is because they're just always doing things wrong. They're always doing half range. They're always putting their, because if you're doing half range in terms of leg press and you haven't trained the musculature involved in too much range, and then God forbid it moves 1 extra inch, because it probably will when million pounds on it.
Yeah.
Then now that musculature and that joint has not experienced that range, and guess what happens? Pain. And then now your workouts start sucking because you're afraid of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's the thing I'm going to leave off on, which is that like I think it's underrated to understand the intention of form, because it can do so much for you in terms of eliciting a certain effect with musculature, but it also can give you that soft governor, and it can make working out so much nicer. Like there's nothing better than working out with no pain.
Yeah, it's truly not.
Yeah.
And when I get pain, it's nice to like it sometimes as a reminder, like, okay, hey, on days you don't feel this, recognize that and have some fun with it, and just realize that, oh, this is what it's supposed to be like. It's supposed to not, yeah.
Have you guys seen that meme? I'm living it right now, so you can hear my voice. Have you seen that meme where the guy like looks in the camera, and it's a one-off, but he said like, I feel like I took all the days, or when you feel the scratch in the back of your throat, and then immediately you think that you took all the days with a non-scratchy throat for granted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly it. Because I've been like trying to itch my throat with my tongue, like because I just have that disgusting congestion. And same kind of thing. It's like when you don't have pain, you're like, oh, let me just live here for a moment.
Yeah.
No pain.
Recognize it though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have anything else, Corinne? Alex, anything else? Any other ones?
No, I don't got any other ones.
What's our next podcast be like? What any topics you guys think about?
I don't have one off the top of my head, but yeah, I'm glad we're going to get into a rhythm again, because then we can just go back to the list or keep adding to the list.
I know you had a bunch. You had a bunch of ideas.
Yeah. I don't have any top of mind, but I'm sure there's still some like further up in the chat that we haven't covered yet, and then we can do some brainstorming.
Yeah. We got to get into, dude, I got so many, I don't know if this doesn't necessarily need to make it into the pot at all for sure, but like I'm doing like all these tests. Stupid blood kit didn't come, so I didn't even get to do that this afternoon. But even the fucking saliva tests, I was like starting to read over them, and I was like, they're so specific, and like I was just like, how does anyone ever get results from these? Like, I'm supposed to do this by myself, and I've read through it 5 times just because I'm freaking out about not doing it right.
Hold on a second. Okay, I'm gonna end the podcast, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, he can cut that out too. But yeah.